I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Jeff Charles, Andrew Moran, Sarah Cowgill, and James Spite. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Defunding the police may have sounded like a good idea to city council officials in Austin, Texas. The consequences have been nothing short of disastrous. Crime is up, as in way up. And now residents are being warned not to call 911 unless it's absolutely necessary. Who decides where you should draw the line and dial 311 instead of 911? Gunshots, heart attack? 911 was created back in 1968 to take away the burden of trying to remember a 10-digit number when you needed help. It really revolutionized how police, paramedics, and fire responded to emergencies. But when the Austin City Council cut $150 million from the police budget last year, things began to go sideways. Jeff, you have a close relationship with the city of Austin. How did this even happen in Texas?
Yeah, here in Austin, the brain surgeons on our city council decided to slash funding for the police. But even before that, they were holding up police academy classes. They were the city council is very, very, very far to the left. And they have already been trying to brainstorm ways to decrease the number of police officers on the street, ostensibly to decrease negative interactions that might result in police brutality. Here's the thing. The Austin Police Department, they've had some issues. But in general, our police department doesn't have as many issues with police brutality as other cities do. So there really isn't a need to do this. This is just part of their agenda. They want power. They want to make it seem like they're doing something when they're not really doing anything. Meanwhile, this year, we've already hit 60 homicides. Now, to give a more perspective on that, this breaks a record that was set in 1984 of 59 homicides. We still have 2 more months left in this year, so there might even be more. Combine that with the fact that the brain surgeons on my city council a couple of years ago decided to rescind a homeless camping ban, which has allowed the homeless to basically camp out all over downtown Austin. That has also contributed to the rise in crime. This is the prototype showing why far left progressives should never be in charge of any city, especially when it comes to crime.
All right. So, Sarah, as of April 2021, the murder rate up 200%, aggravated assaults 36%, car theft 77%. What were they expecting?
They weren't. I don't know what they were expecting, but if you knock back the number of police persons for the number of residents, and you just increase the number of residents versus the one guy or one gal on the beat, you're going to have problems. It's going to be easier to commit crimes. It's who's going to get around to solving the crimes? And really, I know the city of Austin is very liberal, but who thought any city in Texas would ever go for this? I don't see this ever happening in Texas. Everybody is armed in Texas. So I just don't see what's going on in the city. I have no explanation for it. And I don't even know how they got through this vote unless there was serious amount of money pushing it into the vote, to the election. I don't know.
That's why you hit the nail on the head. A lot of money. The way this system is set up here, it very much favors progressives, even if the residents of the city are against a lot of what they do. I do see signs of that changing, but I just wanted to interject that there real quick.
Well, virtue signaling has consequences. So, Jim, now we have a situation where there is Proposition A going to be on the ballot in Austin that is going to require kind of a safe city standard, which is a national figure, 2 policemen for every 1,000 residents. But guess who has decided to come out against that? George Soros. And he has put down a cool $500,000 cash to get rid of Proposition A.
Imagine that. Yeah, virtue signaling does have consequences. But like Sarah said, what were they expecting? They weren't. This isn't a fully fleshed out plan, or it wasn't, rather. It was just a knee-jerk reaction for votes and for good public opinion. As for this measure, that sounds great, but Here's the problem. So if you pass a law or an ordinance, rather, requiring X amount of police officers, you still got to hire those police officers. Are the people who are qualified to be police officers in Austin, do they want the job right now in this climate?
Yes. Well, they don't have a police academy, but they do have another class of officers coming out. So, there are some policemen coming on, but obviously there's not enough. And let me just ask you this, Andrew. Austin isn't alone in this mess. Seattle is having serious problems. Chicago is having serious problems. In Philadelphia, you've got serious problems with the new DA that was backed by George Soros, Larry Krasner, but he just keeps letting the people out of jail over and over and over. So it looks to me like we're dealing with, a national problem, because a lot of these city councils in urban areas are very liberal.
Yeah, I think the solution, at least in Austin's case, is to have this proposition. Maybe George Soros will back it or not. I think, considering his trips to the gym and his new GAT in his pocket, Austin residents should call Jeff's number to come to the rescue. I think everyone would endorse that proposal. What do you think, Jeff?
Would Jeff endorse that proposal?
Forget 311. Just dial Jeff Charles.
Yeah, see, that's what they messed up.
Just Jeff.
They have messed the thing up so badly that I went and actually got a gun. So, that's one of the reasons why. And gun ownership is going up across the board because it's not just Austin, right? Like we said, it's New York, Los Angeles, DC. People are buying guns because of increasing crime rates, because Biden is a great salesman for guns, especially since he wants to restrict them. I was talking to Jim about this. I had to call around to many different places just to find hollow point ammo. So this could probably
easy there, Jeff. I don't want us to run out.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. So I guess that's a silver lining, because I do think that more responsible citizens should be armed. But at the same time, you don't buy a gun because you actually want to be in a situation where you have to use it. It's something that you do in case you have to use it. But the people who are in leadership here, they don't care. We say virtue signaling has consequences. You're right. But it doesn't have consequences for the people doing it because they're insulated from the consequences of their actions, at least so far. It's people like us who have more of a chance of suffering because they want to make it look like they're doing something, and they really don't care about our safety.
Well, I think we need to keep in mind that one of the unintended consequences of hobbling a police department is all your first responders are in danger. They go into some pretty sketchy situations to try to rescue and save people. And if they don't have people backing them up and there's not enough police, then you're going to have first responders sitting on their hands waiting for somebody to help them out. And that, it's just, there's just a ripple effect of things that are going to happen over time if this continues to go on in Austin or any major city.
And they may not have any more information than just, we've got a person down at this address.
And what's even more ridiculous about this whole thing, especially in Austin, like I said, Austin Police Department does have some issues, but it is leaps and bounds better than a lot of other cities. Our police department just put 2 officers on 90-day leave because they didn't intervene when another officer was using excessive force. You don't hear about that happening very often, officers being held accountable. APD did not need to be defunded. They don't need any of these measures. They might need some tweaks here and there, but nothing like what they did.
Andrew,
I think this is a good message. Yeah, I think it's a good message for libertarians, because libertarians have been saying for years that the government can't protect you, it won't protect you. So when Jeff's talking about more people are buying guns, I think that's an indictment of people are thinking, yeah, you know what, maybe the libertarians are right. Well, maybe not the libertarians are right, but the idea in spirit is that, yeah, the government can't protect me, I can only protect myself. So it really proves that government's a failure and they'll never be at your back.
Yeah,
this may be an unpopular.
Wow, that's a good wrap up.
Like I say, this may be an unpopular thing to say to both sides, but the Supreme Court has ruled multiple times that the police are not constitutionally obligated to protect you. That's your job.
Yep.
That's a perfect ending. There you go.
Okay. Well, Austin seems to be the pilot program for what not to do. It's a real head shaker, folks. Thanks for tuning in. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to surf on over to libertynation.com. Sign up for a new member zone, just $29.99 for an entire year. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, conservative news where truth matters.